Good day, everyone. I hope you are doing well today. Welcome to our English virtual class. I am Teacher Jovelyn, and today we will explore the traditions and progress, understanding the life lessons through poetry. So these lessons will help you understand how poems reflects the real life's experiences and how their messages can guide us in making wise decisions in our everyday lives. Before we move on to our learning objectives, let me first explain how this lesson fits into our curriculum. So the topic is aligned with the grade 10 English curriculum guide for the third quarter. It supports the content standard, which focuses on understanding literary texts and their elements, and the performance standard, where learners are expected to analyze and express insight about text and meaningful ways. Most importantly, this lesson is guided by our transfer goals that students will be able to apply what they learn about literature to real-life situations by expressing ideas, emotions, and values clearly and creatively. With this alignment, let us now proceed to our learning objectives. So, at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to identify the theme and the message of the poem, demonstrate appreciations for cultural traditions while recognizing the importance of progress by expressing their personal reflections and values based on the message of the poem. Create and present a spoken poem, role play, poster, or interpretative reading that shows the balance between traditions and modern life. Before we start to our lessons, I want you to think about these questions. Have you ever experienced choosing between what your family expect from you and what you personally want to achieve in life? Or maybe your family wants you to follow a certain tradition. It's maybe like a course, a career, but you have also your own goals and dreams. Situations like these are common. They help shape who we are as individuals. Today, we will explore how personal choices, family expectations, and cultural influences can affect our decisions and identity. So I want you to listen carefully and reflect as we go through our lesson. And now, class, before we proceed to our main lesson, let us first check your prior knowledge through a short pre-assessment. I will show several statements related to poetry, traditions, and personal values. So all you need to do is to decide whether you agree or disagree. There are no right or wrong answer at this stage. So this activity will help us understand your ideas about perspective of poetry and life lessons. You will be given 2 to 3 minutes to read and to analyze and answer all the statements. So please think critically and answer honestly. You may write your answer on your paper or your activity sheets. Time is up. Thank you for your answers. Now I will ask a few volunteers to share their responses. You do not need to explain deeply yet. Just share whether your answer is true or false, or if you agree or disagree. Any volunteer? Yes, Maya, go ahead. Very good. Thank you for sharing your answer. Yes, Joanne, go ahead. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing your answer. You may take a seat. Thank you for answering all the statements. This activity was our pre-assessment, which helped us understand what you already know and think about poetry, traditions, and personal values. So at this point, we are not checking which statement are right or wrong. Your answers will guide our discussions and help you reflect as we learn more. And now that we have shared our ideas, let us move on to the next part of our lesson to explore how poetry reflects life, values, and decisions in real life situations. So class, We will now do an activity called word relay and hot seat. Here's how it works. You should identify the correct poetry elements. So here is the first definition. So group 1, I will give you 5 to 10 seconds to answer the questions. Correct. 1.2 group 1. And now, here is the second definition for group 2 to answer the questions. I will give you 5 to 10 minutes to answer correctly. That is incorrect. Okay, group 2, since your team didn't answer correctly, one of you will go to the hot seat. To earn your points, you may answer this question. Good job! That is correct. You may now go to your group. Good job, everyone! I really enjoyed how you participated in the word relay and hot seat. And now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we practice. So I have here processing questions, so you can answer it directly to the chat box or orally. So questions number 1. Which poetry element was the most challenging for you to identify during the activity? Maybe it was the theme, conflict, or plot. So for example, if you struggled with a theme, that means it was hard to see the message or lesson the poem wanted to share. Understanding it helps you know what the author wants you to learn. For the questions number 2, how did working with your group help you analyze the poem's message and values? So discussing with your groups lets you hear a different ideas and perspective. What did you realize about the importance of understanding literary elements and interpreting a poem's meaning? So it means literary elements like character, setting, plot, conflict, and theme are tools that help you unlock the poem's meaning. So understanding them shows you life lessons, values, and messages. So for example, conflicts explain why a character acts a certain way, and theme shows how it connects to real life experiences. Class, in this part of our lesson, we will read a short story called The Bamboo Radio. After reading, we will identify its key elements such as character, setting, plot, theme, and conflict. Pay close attention for the characters' actions, the settings, the challenges they face, and the lessons we can learn. So this will help us understand the stories, reflect real-life situations, values, and traditions. So when you are reading, you just need to identify its key element, the character, the setting, the plot, the theme, and the conflict. I want you to take note or underline the important details of the story that shows this element. So we will discuss each later. And now that we've read the story, let's identify the elements together. Who are the main character of the story? Yes, Mia. Yes, very good. It's Lolo Andres, Lino, and other members of the family. Where and when does the story happen? Yes, Joanne. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. The story takes place in the rural area during the family gathering. How did Lolo Andres' advice influence Lino's decisions about the land and the future? Anyone who can share their answer? Yes, Kyla. Go ahead. Yes, very good. Lolo Andres reminded Leno to respect the tradition. The story teaches us that respecting our heritage while pursuing new opportunities is very important. Class, in this activity, let's practice identifying the literary elements of the story. We will read a story about Lila and her weaving traditions. After reading, your task is to write a sentence of each element that explains how the author used it to develop the story or to convey its meaning. This will help you think critically and connect to the story of the real-life situations. Read the story carefully and pay attention to the character, setting, plot, and theme, and conflict. Let me give you an example for the character element. Lila is the main character who's experiencing learning to weave, teaches her patience and respect for her culture. Now, I want you to do the same for the other element. For our final stage, we will do a transfer challenge activity. You will work in groups to create a short story or poem that shows how traditional and progress interact in society. Each group will select a social issue as poverty, COVID-19, inequality, and lack of education. Once your story is finished and approved, you will present it to the class. Your classmate and I will listen carefully so that we can understand what is the message of your story or your poem. Alright class, we've explored reflects, traditions, and progress and how it teaches us important life lessons. And now, it's time for our post-assessment. This will help you reflect on what you can connect the poems to life experiences. You will answer questions 1 to 10, read each questions carefully, and choose the answer that best reflect your understanding. You don't need to rush, but do your best. Think about the poem we read and how they show tradition, progress, and life lessons. I'll give you some time to complete this, and if you have any questions while answering, I'm here to help. Great work everyone! As we finish, let's remember that poetry is not more than just a reading, words on page. It shows us how tradition guide us, how progress challenge us, and how life experiences teach us a valuable lesson. Whether it's respecting our culture, learning from challenges, or embracing new ideas, poetry help us see the life in a deeper way. Keep this in mind as you go your daily lives. Look for lessons, reflect on its experiences, and always think about how the past and present shape who you are, who you want to become. Well done today. Thank you so much for cooperating actively. Thank you so much po. And that's the end of my demo teaching. Thank you so much po.